Hello, my friends. I wanted to take a minute and talk to you about something that a lot of times people ask me or express an interest. What is it like to be a small business owner? So I thought this would be a fun topic to talk about. It does take a lot more work sometimes than people think. And so I'm sharing this video with you, just sharing my experiences as a small business owner for 15 years. But do know that I teach belly dance, adult fitness, adult dance, which is a very niche business. So my experiences may be different than other people's. So please take that with a grain of salt and we'll just get right into it. And definitely too, if you've had different experiences or you want to add on to what I'm saying, that is great. I always welcome ideas. So a lot of times people will ask me, I have a passion, I have an interest, and I would like to start my own business. What is it like? Well, this is a great question. I think doing your research before you start whatever business you would like is super important. As I mentioned, a lot of times I think it's a lot harder than people are anticipating. So I think to avoid burnout, to avoid feeling like you failed, to avoid a lot of things, it's good to kind of know what you're getting into. So first off, why do it, right? A lot of people think they want to be a teacher. Again, I'm using my example as a dance teacher. So yes, there are some really cool benefits. So you can be your own boss, you can set your own hours and schedule, and of course, you can teach whatever it is that you love to do. So in this example, dance. So that is super, super cool. But at the same point, there is a lot of work that goes into it to be successful. I always tell people that I see dance and fitness and all of those types of things as a service or helping profession instead of kind of a glory profession. So a lot of times people get into it saying, I'm a creative and I must create. And this may be true, but when you go into business, I would encourage you to think of it more as what can I offer people? What do they want? Do I have something to offer that others would want? What am I sharing with people? So keeping that in mind, those are some of the benefits of being a small business owner. So the first thing, and I'm not saying it's all drawbacks, but again, we're here to discuss my experiences and to help you know what to expect. So number one, you're going to work long hours. So we get right into that. If it's your passion, a lot of times it won't feel like work, which is cool. But just expect to work probably 10 to 20 hours for every hour in the classroom. Again, dance is my experience. So that might not be hard labor all the time, but having a very strong and varied skill set is really going to help you. So that will be marketing materials, reaching out to organizations, networking, communicating to your students, facility rental, lesson planning, what have you. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And so a lot of times people think, they just see the finished product, maybe the performance or the teacher in the class, and they're like, I want to do that. So before you go into business for yourself, just kind of be clear, what would that look like? A lot of times people say they want to own their own business or they say they want to teach, but really what they want is to kind of just show up into a set situation and be paid for like an hour of teaching. The teaching is just one part of this much, much bigger kind of setup. So be clear about that. And just also know too, if you are interested in that ladder, like I'll just show up and teach and get paid, there's a lot, like not a lot of teachers, especially in a niche market, have the money or resources to automatically just give you that. A lot of times, even if teachers are willing to let you teach and pay you, they're going to expect other unpaid hours or services. So they might have you participate in marketing or do free events or what have you. Again, just my experience. So work long hours, that is one thing. Work-life balance can be a tricky thing when you're running your own business. So with work-life balance, as I mentioned, there's a lot that goes into it outside of your time in class. So you will have to decide how you want to run that. So there's things that I could do pretty much all hours of the day. I personally try to set aside days or hours to spend with my family where I don't think about my dance business, but it's hard, at least hard for me. So one of my teachers in grad school talked about being an engaged workaholic, and that kind of resonated with me because there was so much to do. So just think about that. You might have to juggle a little work-life balance. It really, really helps if you are in a relationship or have family members or what have you, a significant other, that they are supportive of your business. A lot of times, even so much the better, businesses succeed when you can have your family members help you. So yeah, that could be anything from having a show and having family members, set up chairs or take tickets at the door, etc. But familial friends support definitely helps. Support always helps. So what else? Being in a small business, it does take time to see profits. And I'm going to be real with you here. Again, these are just my experiences as a part-time business owner. It may take years to see any kind of profit. A lot of times us in the arts, we're very giving, we're very all about art should be free. Yes, I'm fine if that is your vibe, but remember it has to be sustainable. So most artists are not lucky enough to be these huge philanthropists that have tons of income and resources they can just give to their students and community. So your business has to be sustainable. So you might have to have a little bit of knowledge and experience in running a business, a little bit of marketing, promo experience, which in my experience, a lot of creatives do not have or not really think about when they go into business. But you have to be sustainable, whatever that looks like for you. And many times it will take 3, 5, 10 years before you see that sustainability. So for me, again, in my experience, I chose to keep my business intentionally small. I had to kind of do a cost benefit analysis and say, okay, how much do I want to spend in order to break even? So, but how can I make it so that the quality of what I offer does not suffer? So you might have to think about that. So that could be examples of how much do I want to spend on facility rental? That's a huge expense for a lot of instructors. How much do I want to spend on my continuing education? Do I have a budget for, my liability insurance, my marketing, my all of these different factors. So just think about that. It's very easy for your expenses to exceed your profit. So just having a little bit of experience and understanding that you may not make a lot of money right at first is important. So let's think about investment. You got to think about investing in your business. So that's something to think about. How much do you want to spend? A lot of times people don't really want to spend much, but they want to see profits. And typically I've found that the more you spend, the more you will make. Talking about expense, for example, in my business, I decided to focus a lot of my money on marketing versus facility rental, things like that. So every few months, I'd spend several $100s on promoting my classes, which really helped kind of give me an uptick in attendance. Really, again, it helps you kind of break even, but I don't know about you. I would rather have full classes and break even than empty classes. So that was kind of my call there and my judgment call. So yeah, investment is definitely something you need to think about. And as I mentioned before too, a strong skill set is super important. So having good marketing skills, having good networking skills, being a nice person, because it's one thing to bring students into the door, it's another thing to keep them there. So you really need to think about, are you offering something that they want? Are you offering a community? Are you making your classes so enjoyable and fun and positive that they want to come back? So really just taking a little bit of an observation about your personality and what you offer is super important. Another thing that you need to think about a little bit is what are you willing to sacrifice? What are your ethics? What works for you? Now, I'm not suggesting in any way that we should not be ethical at all times. We should, which means you respect everyone in your community. You never badmouth other instructors. You always act just like you would in the workplace. With decorum, respect, and professionalism. However, it being a market economy, think about what are you willing to teach if the market calls for it? Where are you willing to bend the rules? For example, if you're trying to make a full-time income with your dance studio, you might have to teach kids, for example, or teach some disciplines that are hot right now that maybe are not your first choice, but you have to think about that. If you are renting a facility, you need to think about facility rental. Do you want to collaborate with other instructors, or just know kind of that you might need to rent out your facility space, which is a whole other thing. It can be super awesome to hire your friends or work with others when you run a small business, but I've also found that those people that you work with need to have a strong business and professional acumen as well. So that can be tough. Sometimes friendship isn't enough. I actually prefer to work with colleagues versus friends and to really differentiate work between play and friendship. So just know that those are things you're going to need to think about. Also, too, you may notice after all this talking that I've got a work shirt on. So for some of us, we are not able to make, or we choose not to make our business our full-time income. And so you may have to have another job or a spouse that works to help support your job. Because it is a non-essential job, at least again, dance business, you might need to have a more stable source of income to get your health benefits and whatnot. So that's something you need to think about. And again, I already talked about networking, but really having strong people skills is important. Being able to network effectively with people maybe you don't like. You know, a lot of times creatives just want to hang out and associate with other creatives, but a lot of creatives don't have the resources. They don't have the revenue that could help support your work. So having strong people skills, both with your students, but also with those who might be able to fund some of your classes or excursions. So these are just a few things to think about. I hope I'm not being too much of a bummer here. I encourage you to definitely give it a thought. And if you have any questions and want to ask me, I am absolutely delighted. I love seeing other people succeed. I love seeing other women succeed. I love women-owned businesses. So just keep at it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you real soon, okay?